So this happened to me over 10 years ago when I was a sophomore in high school. First, let me start the story by saying that at this point, the house next door to me had been vacant for almost a year. The elderly woman had passed away, and whoever now owned the house must have never got around to doing the necessary repairs to fix it. The old lady who used to live next door to me was a mean and miserable person. She always called the police on the neighbors, even though they would barely make any noise or do anything wrong at all. But it was always clear that she did love Christmas. She would hire people to hang up all of the holiday decorations on her front lawn and porch. Well, shortly after Christmas in my freshman year, she had passed away due to falling or an accident of that nature. Her kids from out of state came and cleaned out the entire house and left it vacant. As previously mentioned, they didn't sell it, repair it, or inhabit it. They just left the house to sit there and essentially rot. After they cleaned out the house, they left the curtains on the side of the house open, and if you looked out my bedroom window, you could see right into the house. It was semi-creepy knowing that the house was just so desolate and empty. Well, fast forward now to Christmas Eve of my sophomore year of high school. My brother and I took place in our yearly tradition of watching wrestling DVDs until we got tired. We both decided to go to bed shortly after 2 a.m. on Christmas morning. I shut off all my lights and got into bed and noticed a faint light coming through my blinds. So I got up and walked over to my window, and I couldn't believe my eyes. There was a ceiling light on in the house next door, and I couldn't explain it. I figured that there was no electricity at all, considering the house was vacant and nobody lived there for some time. I stared into the other house in confusion, and then the light shut off. Within 5 seconds or so, the light turned back on again, and that's when I saw it. A brief glimpse of a figure in the doorway of the house. It looked just like the old woman. At this point, I knew my mind was playing tricks on me. The lights went off for a second, and I stood there and stared into the darkness for several minutes trying to see anything, but it was just pitch blackness. Then a burst of light, and there she was again. The old woman was standing right in the window staring back at me. I fell over in fear and ran into my brother's room. I tried to wake him, but he was out cold. I slept on the floor in his room and stayed up all night trying to compute what I had just seen. For years, I told my friends this story and nobody ever believed me. Whenever friends would stay over, we would always look into the window and try and see something, but we never did. That was over 10 years ago, and that house has since been sold. But since it's been sold, the owners have sold it 3 times after moving in. So I wonder if I'm not the only one who has seen the lady wandering the halls. One thing is for sure, that is a Christmas present I will never forget.